Wake up to a new morning, pop in a little nostalgia, just be kind and listen to the rewind.
Welcome to the Rewind Podcast, the show that explores TV and film through a queer millennial lens.
Which is really just a fancy way of saying we're two gay nerds with random back pain who watch way too much TV.
I'm Jonah.
And I'm Keenan, and today we're covering Beetlejuice.
Careful, Keeks. You don't want to say that name 3 times.
Well, I mean, if I want a trilogy, then I guess I need to, right?
Touche.
We can talk about that later. As we said in the beginning of our last episode, like we're gonna be talking about Beetlejuice. There will be spoilers for Beetlejuice, and which means there are gonna be spoilers for Beetlejuice, which is a 30-year-old movie. Okay, I took that movie to school in the first grade. That's a whole other conversation. I got in trouble, but it's a 30-year-old movie. Okay.
You haven't seen it yet, and there are people who have not, and that is wild to me. Please go watch it. It's a fun time. The OG movie is just fun stuff. And it's not super scary, if you're not really into horror movies, like it's not really so much a horror as what I would classify as a horror.
Yes, it's like a dark horror comedy, I think is what it's initially like said to be.
Hard emphasis on comedy.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sidebar. I didn't, and this is wild to me. It's kind of bizarre, but I didn't even think about it. But look what shirt I put on today. I didn't even think about.
Oh, that's so funny. Now I'm mad that I didn't think to wear my Beetlejuice shirt.
Oh, you have a Beetlejuice shirt.
Remember, it's the one that I snatched out of your hands when we were at the rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love that. I love this shirt, and I'm going to wear it. I'm gonna have to take a little like picture.
You snatched it so fast out of my hand, and it was the only size.
Actually, was it the Beetlejuice shirt or was it like a stack of books? Or did you end up getting the books one?
I got the stack of VHS. Stack of VHS.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Anyway,
again for audio,
it's probably very close to the shirt that I'm wearing.
For audio listeners, the shirt that I'm wearing says, "I myself am strange and unusual," which is an iconic line that Lydia Deetz, played by Winona Ryder, says in the original Beetlejuice.
Well, Jonah, before we get started talking about Beetlejuice, you pitched a new segment about showing a little clip and we can talk about it. Do you have a clip prepared this week or is this the going forth thing? Oh, you do? Okay. Okay, so everyone, we haven't named it yet. There's not an intro yet, but we're gonna kind of just commentate over something I guess that has gone viral in the week. And we're gonna rewind on brand back to a viral moment this week. Jonah, take us back.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this without too much.
I literally saw this while I was waiting for you to get on and I screamed.
Wait, did you? You saw this video?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let me play it here.
Play it. Okay, so for those of you who are listening, we're watching this video, there's a guy dressed as Spider-Man going to a kid's birthday party, and there's a kid outside that runs up and gives him a hug, but what's going on inside, there's a little kid that goes Spidey, and he's running up, and he does what happens to birds on cartoons. He ran right into a glass window.
Yeah.
Yeah, so excited to see Spider-Man.
It's too funny. I immediately saw it and said, Keenan has to see this because you love two things. You love when someone has a good like fall, like some kind of physical accident, and anytime a child gets hurt. Those are your two favorite things.
It's quite hilarious. Like, I don't want kids taken out, but when kids do dumb things, it's very funny to me. They have to learn somehow. It's
Yeah, we don't
how we survive.
promote or encourage child violence or violence at
Yeah,
all.
don't shake the child. But
Do not shame. Well,
if
I
they
think older
are,
kids can be shaken. It's babies you don't want to shake.
well, I don't know. Their brain's not done forming until 21. And I saw some people post like spellings of things that their nephews and his friends tried to spell, and it was really sad. I was like, this looks like what is it? CTE? Is that what it is? The thing, the traumatic brain injuries that football players have? I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know. Okay.
CTE.
Okay, yeah. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like they failed that test that you take when you're trying to see if your memory is going bad. Great. Jonah, I love this. I want to talk about funny viral clips going forward. Actually, well, I didn't download it, but I sent one to you earlier that just, as you know, I am not a pet person. I don't care for dogs. If I did have a pet, it would be a cat. And the video I sent you was very much like why cats are hilarious and honestly superior.
Okay. I do love a good cat video, even though I'm not much of a cat person. I do love a good cat video, and I find cats very alluring and mysterious and fun to watch. I think I could live with a cat, but I don't know. I've just always been a dog person, so.
I had an old roommate who wanted a cat, like he insisted on having one, and our friend was like, "Oh, we found this stray at work, and we can't find a home for it." And he was like, "Oh, I wanna go." And I looked at her and I was like, I will hate you forever for this." And so I acquiesced. The second time I used that word this week, and we took in the cat, and I named her Saffron because,
Oh,
from
it's
Absolutely Fabulous. And
very
Saffron and
appropriate.
I were the best of friends. We'd watch television together. She never bothered me. But my roommate that insisted on having her, she loved to pee on his clean laundry, and
Oh,
she would
Lord.
shit in his shoes.
No.
Yes.
I-
So,
oh.
he ended up wanting to, give her away. And I was like, gee, I wonder why.
Mm. First of all, a cat shitting in your shoes is the ultimate fuck you from said cat.
That is hilarious to me. That is but like, that's a whole other, that's a roommate, but that's a whole other podcast.
For sure.
Um, but Jonah, why don't we actually circle back to Beetlejuice? Give us a little background of Poe, if you will.
So, Beetlejuice, the sequel to the original Beetlejuice film, was directed by Tim Burton, who also directed the first one. Written by Michael McDowell, rest in peace. Larry
Yeah.
Wilson and Alfred, is it Go or Goff?
I'd probably say golf.
Okay. Because it looks like cough, but it's with a G.
Yeah, I'd probably say golf, but who knows? Well,
The
he
film
knows, and I should
stars
have looked it up.
the film stars Michael Keaton, who plays Beetlejuice, obviously. Winona Ryder plays Lydia Deetz. Catherine O'Hara plays Delia Deetz. Jenna Ortega plays Astrid Deetz, and Willem Dafoe, who stars as Wolf Jackson, who that
I'm
was
sorry.
just such
Okay.
a wild.
I had to listen. So if any of the people listening to this or watching this follow me on TikTok, I did a video after I saw the movie in the theater. And honestly, for me, it was Willem Dafoe. He had the most fun.
For
And it
sure.
was a bit that they committed to. It was like, no, no, no. I'm actually not a cop. I'm an actor who did my own stunts. And I played a cop in this like series when he's okay. I know we're gonna get into the movie, but I just have to tell you my favorite bit because it's so fucking stupid. While he's like giving his marching orders to the ghoul squad, and his assistant is in the background with the cue
With
cards.
with the cue cards, yes. That was so good.
I was like, this is fucking great.
It
Great.
was so
And in my
good.
mind, keeping it real, he ad-libbed that. I don't know if he did, but in my mind he did.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe was having the best time, and I had to list him in the
Yeah. I
main
love
thing.
how
He
you
actually gets a lot of screen time too.
he does. I was kind of surprised by that. I love how you skipped right over Justin Theroux.
Fuck Rory.
He-
I don't even know who Justin Theroux is. I was gonna ask you, what has he been in that I would know him from?
He's been,
I
oh
didn't even
gosh, in
bother to
so
IMDb
much.
him.
He's kind of one of those actors who's been in so much, but I couldn't tell you like a single thing.
Okay, let me.
Okay, he was married to Jennifer Aniston for a
That tells me
while.
nothing.
Right. And he was in something called the Leftovers, which is
I never saw
a
that.
show that was like on HBO or Showtime or something like that, where like people who died resurrected or something. I don't know. That's a very old
I'm gonna go
cliche.
ahead and stop you because I'm screaming at this credit, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm on board. On Zoolander, he played like Mugatu's assassin that had like the long dreads. It's a very niche reference. And if you're not like a Zoolander person, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about? But I'm like, okay, why not? He was in Zoolander.
Yeah, I wasn't big into Zoolander.
I thought it was so stupid funny. And like everyone was in it. He's in
Yeah,
American Psycho.
he's been in quite a bit. Yeah, he was in Wonderlust.
He was in Sex in the City. He has one of those faces that I'm like, he's been in stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
And as I like go into like his 90s credits, like Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, he was on that show New York Undercover. He was in Ally McBeal, Spin City, two shows that I was obsessed with. Um, he did 2 episodes of Sex in the City.
Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Who was he in that? A villain?
Was he Seamus? The main, like, no, Seamus was from the second one. No, the Irish Mob. The Irish Mob was the second one, right?
Gosh, I cannot tell you.
Uh, Wait, what year was Charlie's Angels Full Throttle? I feel like I keep. Who's in
2003.
Zoolander
Yes,
2?
Seamus O'Grady.
Okay. Oh, damn. So
He
he
said
was
Janet
Seamus.
Lewis
Seamus
though.
spent a huge chunk of the movie shirtless and was
Mm.
chiseled.
I mean, Justin Theroux's a hottie.
Rory was the worst, and
He
he
was
was garbage.
awful. Absolute dumpster trash.
But I apologize, Justin Theroux, for shading you for not putting you on this list because you have so many credits and deserved more.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm sure he accepts your apology.
But Jonah, I'm gonna ask you a question. I know I have it different in the notes, but I'm changing it up. Where the fuck was Charles Dietz?
Okay. This is okay.
Because I thought it
I
was
truly thought he had died in real life. I thought that's why he wasn't in it. So I just
right.
assumed the whole movie, oh, look at them like still honoring him by like acknowledging his absence or whatever. And then like killing him off in the movie, which I'm like, that could go either way if you're dead in real life. I'm like, that could be kind of tacky. But I mean, I just assumed he had died. I had not seen him in years on
Yeah, he used to be in
anything.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And so it was very surprising for me to find out literally when I read the notes for this episode that Jeffrey Jones was not in the sequel because he had past legal troubles, specifically a 2002 arrest for possession of child pornography,
What the literal fuck?
which resulted in him being registered as a sex offender, of course, and making it highly unlikely for him to reprise his role in this film or probably any other one that involves children.
It was literally the first thing I Googled when the credits started. I was like, where the fuck was Charles Dietz? Because like you said, it's really like kind of dicey, like how you could handle it in a movie that way, especially the way they killed him off, because it could have been like, oh, he blew up in a plane crash and that was that. No, he survived the plane crashing. A fucking shark came out of nowhere, and they spent the entire movie showing him with a huge chop out of his top
It
and
literally
like
took me the
gurgling.
entire movie to figure out, to realize who that was. Like it wasn't obvious to me because I forgot her story, which was just it was just such a wild story because just when you think it's the end, like it spins off to like, oh no, that he didn't die from that. He actually died from a shark attack.
Mm-mm.
Crazy, crazy,
And
crazy.
oh my God, like so good. We'll get into the like the cast and stuff because it's
So
just
the
so good.
film was released in theaters September 6th, 2024. Rotten Tomatoes has it as a 76% on the tomato meter, and on the popcorn meter, 79%. So they're pretty neck and neck for the most part. Both critics and audiences love this film, and I think that makes sense. But we're about to dig into it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's just like the synopsis of the movie. After an unexpected family tragedy, three generations of the family Deetz, who the fuck wrote this, return home to Winter River. That's still a place in Connecticut, y'all. Still haunted by Beetlejuice. Lydia's life is turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter, Astrid, or Wednesday Light, discovers the mysterious model of the town in the attic, and the portal to the afterlife is accidentally opened. With trouble brewing in both realms, it's only a matter of time until someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, fucking Rory, and the mischievous demon returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem. Okay, first of all, I just want to say, why didn't Delia be like, listen, child, be mean to your mom. I get it. She deserves it. But this shit is real. Okay? It's real. I witnessed it. I saw the Maitlands. I saw this name that we don't like. I was there, bitch.
I was wondering that too. I kept waiting for her to just kind of confirm it, but it almost was like she didn't want to look like cuckoo to like in front of Astrid. She just wanted like Lydia to kind of seem that way, and she just kind of like low key discussed it with
But even like
Lydia.
when Lydia shows her the flyer, which I didn't have time to go back and look, but I'm 90% sure it's the same flyer, like not the same like physical document, but it's the same flyer. It even just like the way that Delia like right, she's like, ew, gross, get that away from me. Like it's not like I'm triggered, but it's more like no.
I love that you
No.
Wednesday Light is so funny. Actually, that's really true. I kind
It's
of
And so I said that in the TikTok. I also said that she was giving us Moira Rose as Delia Deetz, but I have since decided that no, Delia Deetz was the outline. She was the blueprint for
ooh,
Moira Rose.
that
And
is totally fair.
I need to like go back and say, actually, Joan, can we just make this a clip? A clip for social media so I don't have to make a new video. But like I feel like we were being prepared for the truth that is Moira Rose through Delia Deetz.
I totally support that theory. I actually, my notes, I wrote Delia Deetz feels like watching Moira Rose through a Tim Burton lens. But yeah, totally reverse that she was probably the model for Moira Rose. And I do wonder because I feel like a lot of Moira Rose was Catherine O'Hara. Like the decision she made with that character, I
Yeah.
feel like she took it and molded that into like with all her quirks and her eccentricities. I feel like that was a lot of her, and not so much on the page. And I do wonder if she was subconsciously channeling Delia from
Yeah.
Beetlejuice when she was constructing the Moya Rose
It's
character from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. It's a very similar level of narcissism where she's like this New York society, or maybe even wannabe, because I feel like what we got to see was someone who was in this ultra hip world and on the scene, but we don't know if she had access to that scene before she was married to Charles, or if like his money and access got her into that world. We don't know that about Delia, but in my mind, like she's just this very much like I'm a upper society lady in New York who does art because I can just afford to be an artist.
Very
And well,
entitled.
yeah. And it's so while she's in this like I'm an artist kind of world, but like I don't know.
So
Moira is
speaking
like
of
that, but an actress.
true, yes, absolutely. Speaking of Schitt's Creek, did you clock the Schitt's Creek Easter egg during Delia's art exhibit at the beginning when she starts to tell the story of how her husband died? There's a Schitt's
Mhm.
Creek Easter egg featuring a projected image of Catherine O'Hara in white with her arms spread and crows flying all around.
Were there crows on there? I didn't see the crows, but I was
The
like, this
crows
is
were literally
very
like they were kind of like overlaid on I think the projection of her image while her arms were spread. It was just such an obvious Schitt's
a
Creek reference.
blink
But
and
if
you
you
miss all
didn't
of it.
watch Schitt's Creek, it doesn't mean anything to you.
That's funny.
But
That's
and that's
funny.
the great thing because it may not mean anything to you, but you don't question it because of the eccentricity of her artistic
Julia,
expression.
I am
Yeah,
my art.
right. I love it. I
Oh,
love
so
it.
good. So good.
How does the storyline in the sequel compare or differ to the original, you think?
I didn't really think about this. I probably should have thought about it a little bit more. Jenna, why don't you get us started and
It is
I
kind
will
of
follow
it's
suit.
it's a kind of
I'll cut
loaded
that dead
question.
air.
I feel it's a bit loaded of a question because I in terms of how it like holds up next to the original, I there was clearly, you know how sometimes when they not remake, but like sometimes when they revisit a universe that you've already experienced in cinema before that says beloved as the Beetlejuice universe, it can feel a bit out of touch and a bit like not fully, if it's not done carefully, it can feel like detached from the original in a way, and not in a good like original sort of way, but in like a, oh, you missed the mark. And I don't feel like this did that. I feel like it did a really good job of like with the plot particularly. I felt like it did a good job of addressing like our questions of where have these characters been, what's happened to them over the
Hmm.
past 3 decades since we last saw them. I'm really glad that they addressed the absence of the Maitlands because I think that was like something where because
Yes, I have
Gina
feelings
Davis and
about that,
Alec
but
Baldwin was such a big part of the original, and
they were the
obviously they
POV
couldn't.
characters.
Yeah, they could not be seen in this world because they've obviously aged, and it would take like a shit ton of CGI or makeup
Yeah,
or
and that's what
whatever.
Tim Burton basically was like. There's no amount of de-aging that would make us believe they're the same. I was like, that is shady, but I get it. I get
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I do kind of wish that maybe there had been like a flashback scene or when someone says something about the Maitlands, like we just kind of get a flashback to maybe even like
Mm.
a half of the body, but like we see like the flannel and the dress, and they're just kind of like going into light or something like actors from the back, like they found a loophole and moved
Yeah,
on.
yeah, that
Because
would have been a
I think yeah.
good decision, good taste, I
Yeah, I
think.
just wanted
But
to see. I didn't need to see Gina and Alec because clearly we know that they are 30 years older and um uh, not so much as the dude that played Charles, but we do know that like people are a little weird about working with Alec right now. Like I'm shocked that he's
mm,
shown up in on SNL a couple of times this season. I was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you,
but
you know, he's kind of a controversial individual at the
I think
moment.
the plot was original enough with multiple storylines affecting different characters as well. It served as nostalgia while not overkilling it with fan service.
I agree. I feel like it can definitely hold its own as like a sequel to this movie. I think it took the lore, it expanded a bit on it. Um, I thought it was an interesting choice to put the sandworm thing in the book, and like have her be able to open a door to get to the sandworm. That was
Yeah,
interesting. But I'm like,
really
okay,
convenient
sure, why not?
thinking in the
Yeah.
moment.
I'm like, sure, why not? I love that. And not have this is how you get rid of Beetlejuice in the book, but
Yeah.
them specifically not killing him. makes me wonder if they're going to have a third movie. And I apologize. I did see an article or a headline about what Tim Burton said when people asked about a third movie, but I did not have time to go read it. Um,
Well, I mean,
I
technically he's
wanted,
already dead, so I guess they couldn't really kill him. Maybe they could. I mean, I feel like they can only ever rebanish him, right?
I mean, like you could just like the Soul Sucker was. I think there's another space. I think so. Like what they did, sending him back, like saying his name again, it like resets it, so he's not strong enough. So someone has to say his name again 3 times, I think, for him to be um for the juice to get loose again.
Yeah. And
Um,
I guess he could be sent to hell
yeah.
because that's what
But
happened
yeah,
with
the little
that
boy.
serial killer kid.
Which, okay, can we talk about that for a second? Because I wanted to talk about this kid for a little bit because it's part of the movie that I found to be like it was predictable, but it was still fun. Like I was still here for it because she hits her head and then he pops out, and I'm like, okay, so clearly he's a ghost. And the next scene, like,
Really, you spotted it that early on.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like,
That's
clearly he's
funny.
a ghost. Then
I did not catch that. It was really, I think whenever he was asking um about or trying to convince her to read the incantation and go into the afterlife with him, that's when I was like,
oh,
some
that's when I realized
things.
he was up to no good. Um, wait, hold on. Let me take that
Yeah,
back.
wait.
Let me take
Sorry,
that back.
I obviously knew before then that he was dead, but I think I didn't realize he was up to no good until he started really pressing
When
her
they
on
go
him.
into the house, because the parents address him, I was like, okay, they're dead too.
Oh yeah.
They
Oh.
went out of their way to not show their faces,
Mhm.
which made me feel like they weren't alive.
Mhm.
And then when they were like responding to him, I was like, okay, they're dead too. And then it took I can't remember what made me go, oh, he killed his parents. Okay. And then the lady was like, oh, there was a horrible murderer there, Miss Jane. But I was like, welcome back. Welcome. I don't know if it was the same actress, but I was like, yes, welcome back to the sequel. The
Wait, who
lady,
was
the
she?
realtor.
Oh.
Yeah. So in the first
Oh wait,
movie,
the realtor who was Lydia's wait, which realtor are you talking about?
so the lady that came to the funeral, when she had a little girl that was like, why is your house covered with a cloth?
Oh, yes. Okay. I wondered if that was the same person, but she looked relatively
She
young.
did seem young, so like if it's not the same, oh no, 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 or no, or maybe it's probably the daughter because there was a little girl. The mom had a daughter that was in the car who was a redhead, so I bet it was the daughter that was with her.
You don't think that's a reach? I feel like that
No, I
might be
mean,
a little
because
bit of a reach.
no, no, I'm. It may not be the same actress, but I that the mom's name was Jane Butterfield, and for some reason I think that there was a joke that the daughter and the mom had the same name. So now I have to watch the sequel. Yeah, littler Jane Butterfield also appears in Beetlejuice 2 alongside her mother. Okay, so maybe the little girls, I don't know, but it's the actress that was the daughter. I don't know if it's the same actress, but it's the same character. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to just when I watch the original again, just kind of pay special attention to that. Um, okay. So how about key characters, old and new? What do you think about those?
You know how I feel about Willem Dafoe's character. Just
Hmm.
truly top tier. Loved him. Bob, hilarious. Bob in the Beetlejuice costume.
Oh yeah, Bob the Shrunken Head. Yeah.
Yes. The Bob. Him standing in front of that door and all the other ones going.
Right. And then they all run past him so quickly. And honestly, give Bob an Oscar.
Yes.
That
And he
actor,
gave us a death scene where he was like eyes rolled back. I was like, oh,
yes. Oh, Bob. I
I
was
felt a
low-key
little bad
sad,
for him.
honestly.
I know Dolores was an interesting villain, but I was like, do we need her? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about
She
Dolores.
felt a bit underwhelming. I expected more from her, but do you know, I think Dolores LaFerve, who was the wife of Beetlejuice centuries before, and he ended up murdering her, I guess, when she tried to suck his soul or something. Is that right?
So she poisoned him because of like
Mm-hmm.
whatever soul sucking death cult she was in.
Mm-hmm.
She poisoned him. So I'm what I understand is like she had to take his life for something. And so as he was like realizing he was dying, and she's like, ha ha ha, here's my poison. He grabbed the axe.
Mm.
So
Yeah, he had the last hack.
Oops.
But what I was getting at with that is I'm like, clearly she's a mold for Morticia Adams or from Morticia Adams. Like, I really feel like that her whole vibe was a call or nod to Adams family.
I thought I don't really like Nightmare Before Christmas. Like Nightmare Before Christmas is not my thing. But what was the other one
Me
with
neither.
the girl in it where she was like patchwork girl? That's what I was talking about, like Coraline or something.
Coraline? I've never seen that. That's interesting. I
Um,
also another reason why I thought that her whole
Maybe
like
not Coraline. Coraline's not what I was thinking of.
her thing was a nod to like she was a nod to Adam's Family was because like of the repiecing of all of her body parts, and then they made a specific decision to focus on like her arms and her hands like moving across the floor, and I was like, oh, that's a nod to Thing from the Adams Family. So I do wonder like if there was any specific inspiration from the writers or Tim
This
Burton.
this allow is where my mind went to her. Sorry,
Oh,
Skellington.
interesting. Yeah, I can see that now.
I mean, clearly a much more a much brighter character.
Hmm.
Also because the fact that Michael McDowell did the screenplay for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Here's
Fun
my
fact, I don't think
example.
I've ever seen Nightmare Before Christmas.
It was one of those movies. I feel like when I was in the ninth grade, I remember a lot of girls loving Nightmare Before Christmas, and it was just one. It felt boring to me. I never got into it. People love it. It is a beloved Disney movie, but it was never. I was always very meh about it.
Speaking of the characters, I found Lydia to be a bit disappointing in this film, but I think that was the intention. I feel like the whole premise of her character and this was that she's lost herself and her voice and was had just sort of become like a hack. And like Rory had come in and was just sort of like an emotional vampire leech
Right.
on her, and I'm like, okay, that I get it, but it was just kind of a bummer to watch, you know. It just felt like
Yeah.
a really watered down version of who we had come to love in like Lydia's original portrayal.
What I found, well, that sounds really loud. Interesting was like, okay, I thought everyone could see the Maitlands. Like Lydia, it was never really established that she had anything special. Like she wasn't a medium or anything, right?
Yeah, I don't recall it being specifically said or addressed. I think that it was very subtle, and I do think she was the only one who could see them for the most part throughout the film. But there was a moment in the original where like they were made present to the rest of the family
Yeah, when they
or
cast that spell to bring them, like put them in their wedding dress and
mm,
tuxedo.
mhm.
They bring their spirits into those clothes and then everyone else sees them, but they're never really, I don't think, in a situation where no, I take that back. So we were talking about characters and all that jazz, and I was just saying um that because I was like, oh no, they were never in a space to see the ghosts, but they were. They were trying to scare everyone, but they couldn't see them, right? Do you remember that when the Maitlands were trying to scare
Yes.
Charles and okay? So I was like, oh yeah, no, she was the only one that could see them, so that's my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I literally had to stop at the beginning of that and ask myself, um, did they address her psychic abilities? And I think it was just subtly addressed and then like visually throughout the movie with her having those conversations with them while everyone else, couldn't see them. So
Yeah,
and
I mean,
also it's been a
even
while
at
since
the
I've seen the original.
right, and then at the top of the movie of the sequel, we see her in the bathroom and she's talking to the old magician's assistant who has like the knife in her
Mm-hmm.
head. Yeah. So they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, no, she can really see ghosts." Just in case y'all weren't paying attention or y'all didn't remember, just here you go. So, Jenna, who did you have any standout characters?
I look, this is how I feel at the end of that movie when I look back and think back who stole the scenes for me, and it was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely Catherine O'Hara. I
She,
lived for her in every scene. I was like, okay, yes, yes, yes. Give me more, give me more. I was never disappointed when she was on screen, and I love that she was such a fixture in this one.
yes.
I think even more so than she was in the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Delia in this. I also loved Willem Dafoe's character. Obviously, he was a highlight for me. I have to give a shout out to Micheal Keaton for his ability to just jump back into this character so effectively after so long. So, bravo to him.
Listen, like I said in that TikTok, if Michael Keaton can still be Batman, he can fucking be Beetlejuice. And let me
Hmm.
tell you, in that movie, Michael Keaton was a standout in that Flash movie. Like it was like, "Ah,
Mm.
thank you, Michael, for being here for this. You did this
Yeah.
specifically for me. Thank you so much."
Yeah. Do you feel like this new movie was it worth creating? Like I think people did ask for it. I think everybody wanted like a Beetlejuice sequel for the most part.
Yeah,
And now that we finally got it, do you think it lends anything to the that universe? Do you think, it
I
stands
think
on its own?
I think it continues to build onto that world. I as a kid was a huge, not only a huge fan of the movie, but like I
The
loved the
cartoon.
animated series. Yes,
Yes,
there is
yes,
a
me
point
too.
about it in the trivia that I'll go over, but like I feel like the cartoon with some differences because it was a ABC Saturday morning cartoon was such a great sequel to the movie. And then, like, to take this, the only thing I wish they did was build more of the afterlife. I think it was called like the Nether Realm. I think it was the Nether Realm in the cartoon. But like if they just kind of built out that world a little bit more, because in the cartoon, like we could see like this whole other society of thing like monsters and ghosts and remnants of things that exist over here. And I was like, I love that they use like the same hallway from the original movie, but like
Mhm.
give me more of that world. Like you mean to tell me that every space in the underworld is connected by this 80s stylized version of the Maitland's house?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean, and I think that is something they could explore more in like
Right. I'm like,
another.
built on the world. They built on the lore a little bit with the book, and they started kind of like, hey, here's some things. There's an afterlife here, there's a hell here. So yeah, like we're building on our world. But I'm like, show me. Show me
Yeah.
a little bit more. I want to see a
You
little bit
know
more.
what I particularly enjoyed and why watching this was a different kind of experience for me than watching a typical like movie or sequel. So here where we live, where Keenan and I live in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, there is a really popular thrift antiques mall called the Lucky Rabbit. And one of the the really cool things they do is they build like these sets and like sort of exhibits that are like almost identical to really iconic TV shows and films. And Beetlejuice was one that they did this year back uh, uh, late summer, like early into fall, like and through Halloween. And I actually went and got to experience that. And it was, I mean, it was the detail that they had in that exhibit was so intricate and so like it felt like I was there. It felt like I had walked inside of the screen, inside of the movie. And so when I'm watching this movie and I'm seeing them back in that afterlife and in the waiting room, I was like, oh, I was like there, it just it's kind of a really cool like perspective having like gotten to see that and the work that they put into building out that world or whatever. But did you get a chance to visit that exhibit?
No, I didn't make it.
So,
Oh, I
should
didn't see that.
there be a trilogy? I'm gonna say yes. I feel like you're missing out if you don't have the opportunity to have a Beetlejuice, then a Beetlejuice, and then have your trilogy wrap up as Beetlejuice. And I kind of have an idea of what they should go full horror and use. So in the original version, like Beetlejuice is a leather-winged demon. Like he presents as this like Middle Eastern man, and then by the end of the movie, like he like reveals his true face that is a mirror of his twisted soul, is words from Mr. McDowell. So I'm like, why don't we get full demon Beetlejuice the end, like in that third movie, and then he is
Mm.
defeated, like destroyed. There's no more coming back when you say his name 3 times, like he's gone. But
That would be fun, especially for people like us who enjoy horror, like true horror. But I think doing that would be unfair to the fans that these films have accumulated over the years, and because it's a comedy horror genre and it's very Tim Burton-esque in that way. And I feel like that just kind of like leaves them out in the cold, like those fans who aren't really into like true horror. Although that would be fun to see. And I mean, even if there's just
I
like
think
some sort
they
of
could do it in their way and still make it more horror, but I would love to see a concept of that original demon,
I would
which
love to
I'm
see that on
convinced is
screen.
what's on that tombstone. The like the demony creature that's on his tombstone. I'm like, I think that's what he looks like, really.
Interesting. Yeah, I would like to see that on screen. That would be really fun.
But do you think there should be a trilogy? Like, would you like to see another romp through that world? Maybe not set in, you know, though we've seen the future. We see her have her child. Well, no, we don't. That was a
Well,
dream sequence,
yeah,
Keenan.
that was, and also
I remember watching it yesterday going, wait, it ended like this? Sorry. Oh, ridiculous.
it's funny you bring that up because I have feelings about that that ending. Which did not or not consistent with my feelings about the movie overall.
The ending was
Um,
I did not like.
it was lazy. It was absolutely lazy. And I mean, it was weird. I didn't understand like why they went out of their way to show like this montage of her meeting this boy the way she did, like Jenna Ortega's character, and then like getting married. And I'm like, and then there was the baby, the Beetlejuice baby, and I don't know. It was just a weird kind of layout, I guess. I just wasn't really
I
here for it. It was,
what
and
is
then the
the
whole
what is
dream
all
within a
this?
dream. I'm like, are we really gonna do that
Yeah.
trope?
Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't even remember what happens after she wakes up. I just watched this movie yesterday. I do not remember what happens after she wakes up from that.
I think it was just she was just like wide-eyed or just kind of like laying there. I don't remember anything really notable happening beyond that. That's why I say it really fell
And then
flat.
that
I
was
don't
it. Okay. Like, yeah. Like
It was a forgettable ending,
it
which was a
really felt
bummer because the movie overall I felt was so much better than that ending like gave.
Yeah. I mean, we could have ended with her like signing off from the show and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Let
Yeah.
us know that she was gonna spend more time with her daughter. Because then I'm like, why are they marrying her child off? Do we know how old like Astrid is supposed to be?
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
it
she in
really starts falling
college or was
apart.
she in like away at a girls'
I
school or
don't
something?
know. I don't know. At first, I thought she was supposed to be at that Mrs. Shannon school, and then was like, no, 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 because they had to go back to Winter River. The school that she passes in the movie that says Mrs. Shannon School for Girls is the name of the school that Delia went to in the cartoon.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that.
I was like, "Eh." Also, was that coffee shop the Maitland's old hardware store when she's riding her bike and they have her passing storefronts and they kind of like linger on the coffee shop. And I was like, was that the Maitland's store?
Oh,
Because,
I don't
that's where they were
know.
going. And, in the first movie, they were going to the store to get
Mhm.
some parts for his thing before their staycation. And they swerved to miss a dog and ran off the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down for making it a trilogy. I mean, why not? Like bring out a third. I do think the more you add to it, the more risk of it like sucking.
Yeah.
But I think
But I
Tim
also
Burton, as long
went
as the
in,
same people are involved, like if
yeah,
Tim Burton's on board and the a lot of the original cast, like honestly, I was bummed about Delia's fate, but if that had to happen, death by asp, which she paid extra to have
have them
defanged, mind
defanged.
you,
So
while
I'm
chanting at her
hoping,
husband's graveside is a pretty
listen,
hilarious and on-brand way for her to go.
she said, I'm counting on you to collect my refund. Catherine. Oh, Catherine. Oh, so good. So good, so good, Delia. Delia Deetz.
She said died of embarrassment. She died of embarrassment.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, so
good
here
stuff.
are some fun facts about the project. Okay, so Tim Burton has said that this film would only be made if Michael Keaton would reprise his role. Keaton said in March of 2014 that this is the only sequel he's interested in doing.
Hmm. And
Um,
was he referring to the only sequel in all of the films that he's been in, or the only other Beetlejuice movie he wants to do? So just the two and he's done.
I'm using context from this statement because this all came from IMDb. I did not talk to Tim personally or Michael, so I don't have the answer to that question.
Don't
But I
have
w-
them on
I
speed
would I
dial?
would infer that he means of all of his previous roles, he's only interested, which is very funny because he went on to be Batman again.
I was just about to say, like,
Which I'm like, who the fuck wouldn't want to be Batman again? Anyway. I don't love Batman. Winona Ryder had only one condition when she first met Stranger Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer. I did not know they were related. For a role they wanted her to play on Netflix. If Beetlejuice 2 ever got off the ground, they'd have to let her take a break from the series to film it. They agreed.
yeah, because how do you say no? First of all, to
Can you
Winona
imagine
Ryder,
saying no
and
to
then
Winona Ryder to be like,
about
hey,
bringing back an iconic like movie.
right? Like we know that like this movie meant a lot to a lot of people. But no, sorry, you gotta film this sequence. I really like this one. It made me like tear up a little bit. When Glenn Shaddix, the actor who played Otho in the original movie, when he died in real life, he was so proud of his Beetlejuice fame that he requested the Boat song to be played at his funeral. Um, this movie has a small choir sing the same song at Charles's funeral. Isn't that
Yeah.
fun?
Wait,
And
who
when
was Ortho?
Otho was the guy in the first movie. It was essentially the gay from New York who did the
Oh
did the
yeah, the tall guy.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Okay.
Otho. Um
He
he
was fun.
yeah, I did that thing. So whenever the burlesque show did a version of Deo, I did the Otho part because we did the Beetlejuice dance. So I did the part where I like got up and emptied the ice bucket and was like doing the bongos with it. I was so that one thing. It was very fun. I was
Fun, fun.
like, Jenna Ortega revealed that Justin Theroux was one of the hardest people to work with because he kept making her burst out laughing and break character. And Justin shared that Catherine O'Hara was the one that made him constantly break character. Could you imagine being on set with Catherine O'Hara? I feel like I would be cackling all the time.
Yes. Also, like, I think it may knowing that Rory character and how different that character is from Justin Theroux in real life, and some of the ridiculousness that that character was responsible for, I can totally see why that was hard for her to
The living
work
embodiment
alongside.
of smarmy. Like when I think
So
of the
gross.
word smarmy, that like I was like, he is smarmy. Ugh. Okay.
Sorry.
Um, the shrinker characters in the film are fully practical. Inside the costumes are experienced creature performers Paul Warren and Nick Killington, to name a
Not
couple. The
not
tiny heads
Killington.
are completely animatronic and are being remote controlled offset by puppeteers. Isn't that cool? I thought Bob was fun. Like,
Hmm.
so yeah. Okay. The
Love. Justice
Maitlands,
for Bob.
I know, justice for Bob. I know. Oh, so sad. That damn Dolores. Um, the Maitlands originally had a cameo at the end of the film, but Tim Burton felt no amount of digital de-aging would convince audiences that Alec Baldwin and Sheena Davis were the same ages they were in the first film.
Oh, what? I felt that feels so
Does that feel
like
shady?
that feels
Hey,
so shady.
like, damn, Tim, that's rude.
I mean, could you imagine someone saying that about you? Like, it's the equivalent of
No
saying
amount
there's no
of
amount of makeup that
de-aging.
could help
Like,
you look
bitch,
prettier.
the digital gods will not have it. I'm
The
sorry.
digital
No,
gods.
no, that
Oh
is
my
out of control.
God.
Um, Producer Brad Pitt was originally supposed to cameo
What?
as a ghost in the netherworld waiting room who had been shot in the head, implying that he's the ghost of Chad Feldheimer, his character from Burn After Reading, who died that way, but was unable to film it due to a scheduling conflict. How
Oh.
fun would that have been just for a random Brad Pitt cameo?
First of
Um,
all, I want to know what the scheduling conflict was. And it was it another movie so that we can indefinitely boycott said movie?
I'm
Because how
interested. Is
dare
he
it take
working
you
on
away from
something
that?
right now, Brad? What do you got going on? What do
I don't
you
know. I
got him?
imagine this was
Because this movie
probably,
just came out, so it would have been filming what last year?
yeah, I would think so.
That's this man
That
has.
would have been really cool. Honestly, sometimes I would rather not even know things like that.
I know.
I hate knowing the what if.
Yeah,
Like,
he
what
was the
if?
executive producer for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. How wild is that?
That's
He's
really
also
cool to
the
know.
executive producer for Bob Marley One Love. He's produced a lot of shit.
And you know, he has a connection to Gina Davis because he was in the Thelma and Louise film as
Surely
her love interest.
was.
So I wonder if
Surely
that was the connection
was.
there. Like, did she like
Um,
phone him up and be like, "Hey, Brad, we have this movie." Like, was he
oh,
and was
Gina
he
went
the
in the movie?
producer of the original? Was he the producer of the original or like of the
Not in
sequel?
1989
Oh,
or
that's right.
88, 87, 88, 89, like one of those three. No, I don't think he had it like that back then. If you want more trivia, go check out their IMDb page because there was a button that was like 50 more. But this
Hmm.
last one, these pieces I compiled just watching a bunch of different videos and while I was doing my research. And this one is about the Beetlejuice cartoon. The cartoon itself had several voice actors who were also in X-Men. I put X-Men 97, but it was definitely not. It would have been X-Men, the series that aired back in the 90s. Beetlejuice and Lydia, voice actors, voiced Archangel and Jubilee, respectively. And there were a couple of other people, like I think the person who was Senator Kelly on the cartoon. was also in the show.
Very cool.
Isn't that wild? I think season 3 of the actual cartoon went on to win a fucking daytime Emmy.
What? Get the
Okay.
fuck out.
And a season 4. So the cartoon had 94 episodes over 4 seasons.
Wow.
The fourth
Oh, just like
season,
6 shy of 100.
right?
So close.
The season 4 was airing simultaneously on ABC Saturday mornings and Fox after school. So it was like the probably one of the first things to be airing like in syndication on 2 different networks at the same time.
Ooh. Wow. Must have been highly sought after.
There's a lot of stuff on YouTube like Beetlejuice Mania took off. So after the movie, like kids loved it so much that of course there were like all these toys. I was watching these videos. I'm like, I remember these toys. I had that one. I had a friend that had this one. Like there was one that you could put Beetlejuice in like a grave and do something, and he comes out with like a different costume on. Like it was
Get
weird.
out.
Like yeah, there was all kinds of Beetlejuice toys. And then they were like, oh, kids love Beetlejuice. We about to make this cartoon. And
Mm.
then boom. So yeah, I was like, the Beetlejuice cartoon is great. It is available on iTunes for like $59.99 for the whole, like all 94 episodes. I was like, do I want to
No,
buy
you can't
that?
stream it
That
anywhere
might
for free.
I couldn't even find like full episodes on YouTube because I at least wanted to watch the first one. The the cartoon was so fun, and it was just, first of all, I
Yeah.
think after watching clips of that cartoon, I was like, well, this is where my fucking love of puns and portmanteaus came from, because he would say random things and turn into stuff, or like it just puns galore on that
Hmm.
cartoon. I was like, this is where that was born. Thanks, Beetlejuice. Um,
That's some great trivia. That's
yeah,
really
and
a lot of stuff.
Tim Burton and Danny Elfman came back. So like Danny Elfman did the music for the cartoon. Tim Burton
It
came. So
felt
like
similar,
yeah,
yeah.
I was like, okay, they said we're getting the boys back together. They did de-age Lydia, but I mean you have to do it for a cartoon, and then they didn't make him like, they were besties and he wasn't like, trying to get her to marry him. But she was like 12 in the cartoon. It's like,
That's
okay.
weird. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes.
So what do we
So
rate this?
I I would definitely say it's a good time. Jonah, do you want to go back and give the 5 points rating scale?
Yes, so the rating scale is essentially one, what the fuck were they thinking? Two, the mortgage was due. Three, nostalgia blankets. Four, it's a good time. Or five, 100% would watch again.
Yes. And so I'm definitely saying it was a good time. I probably should say I would 100% watch again, because I voluntarily watched it yesterday instead of just reading a bunch of stuff about it. But
Yeah.
I definitely think it is nostalgia blanket worthy, but I had such a good time. And honestly, I would say that was thanks to Catherine O'Hara and Willem Dafoe.
Hmm. Yeah. I think I would rate it nostalgia blanket and a good time. And I do feel very certain I'm gonna watch it again. Because how at this point could you watch the original and not watch the sequel too? It would just feel incomplete for me, I think now. And I don't mind watching it again. So
I had a good time. I loved it. I loved it. Yes, Beetlejuice. And give me a Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. So, Jonah, what you watching?
Girl, what you watching?
I am rewatching Xena Warrior Princess.
Ooh, I started that a while ago, and I don't think I got past the Grendel stuff when they were dealing with the Norse gods, or the Norse. I don't remember if the gods were involved, but there
Was
were like,
that after season one?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking
I
like a 3 or 4, maybe. This is when
several
there. This is when the kiss
oh,
happened. This is around the time the kiss happened.
Gabrielle and Xena.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wow.
but like
So I
before
forgot
the
all about
Cult of
that.
Eli stuff, if I'm
It's
not
been
mistaken.
so long since I've seen it in full, and I did start several years ago trying to watch it again, but I couldn't
Mhm.
get through. It's interesting because at the time I was like, "Oh God, this is so the effects," and then it's so campy and blah blah blah, and I just because like I can't finish it. But now, fast forward like 8 years later, and I am here for it. Like I don't know if my tastes have changed, like reverted back to my younger days, or like if I'm just here for the ride. It's just so over the top ridiculous and some of the stunts and stuff, but I love that. And so I think it'd be fun to do a podcast episode about Xena at some
You
point.
know, I would not hate that actually. I fucking love Xena. I'm sorry, I'm trying to stall because I forgot what I. Oh, okay. You can ask me what I'm watching now.
Keenan, what you watching?
Motherfucking Boardwalk Empire. Um,
Really?
yeah, so one of my guilty pleasures is a mob movie. I forgot how much I love
Mm.
mob movies, and I gotten through Penguin, and I was like, "Fuck, I'd forgotten." So I was texting my friend Vanessa, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just forgot how much I love mob shit." I don't know why I did so. She was like, "You gotta check out Boardwalk Empire if you love it. If you love that stuff, you're gonna be into it." And holy shit! First of all, the politics have not changed. And this is pre like platform flip. So this is back really, I think, when
Mm.
still the Republicans are supposed to be for the people and Democrats were business
Mm.
focused. Like,
Mm.
for those of you who were not paying attention in like history, there's a period maybe after I want to say the New Deal is around the time the platform started flipping. Someone on Twitter years ago sent me a list of points that can lead up to that, and it's screenshot and buried in my phones. And I try to like look at it because I do want to. Anyways, it's very good. It stars Steve Buscemi as Nucky Thompson, who is the like treasurer of Atlantic City, and this is 1920, so it's right as like the first episode starts as prohibition is about to hit the next day, and he
And
is
Boardwalk
like,
Empire is a drama, right? It's not like
yeah,
a comedy.
it's a
Okay.
drama. It's a drama, and it's fucking good. I we all know that Steve Buscemi is a great actor, but
Mhm.
I've never seen him lead a show, lead a project. He is a character
Mm-mm.
actor, you know, like
Mhm.
I've never seen him as a lead in anything, and he is leading the fuck out of this show. He's so
Mm.
good. Um, oh, just so good. I'm not super familiar with all the other people in the show, I have to admit, but I it has a great cast. Um, I'm trying to look up people's names. Kelly MacDonald is she plays a character named Margaret Schroeder, who is and she's I would consider her the female lead of the show. And gosh, what is this man's full?
I'll have to check that out.
I feel like this actor Michael Williams, you know who Michael Williams is, the black actor. I want to say he was in Lovecraft Country. I want to say he was the dad in Lovecraft Country, the gay dad, but I could be wrong. Damn it. I hate it when IMDb at some point in time changed and it felt like it just got more complicated navigating the site to find the information. It's like, no, no, we're gonna make you work. Yeah, he played Montrose, the Michael K. Williams. He played the dad in
Oh,
Lovecraft Country. Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
who
yeah,
he
yeah.
passed a
He
few
was
years
passed
ago.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking brilliant, talented actor. Need to watch The Wire, but he plays a character in that show, and it looks like he's in all the seasons. So thank God he lives. Um,
Good to
he
know.
shot a Klansman in the episode I watched recently. So I love Boardwalk Empire. You should check it out. And for everyone else, thanks for listening to the Rewind podcast. Before we go, please take a moment to show some love for your favorite podcast by leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're a tiny fish in a big pond, so every review, rating, and subscriber counts.
Connect with us on the socials, Facebook at The Rewind Podcast 1, Blue Sky at The Rewind Podcast, .bsky.social, Instagram at The Rewind Podcast, and on TikTok at The Rewind Podcast.
You know how to find us. Email us at the rewind podcast 1@gmail.com, and our socials will be linked in the episode notes. So, Jonah, be kind.
And please rewind.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Just be kind and listen to the rewind.